Hello everybody, and welcome to a new series I'm going to be beginning. It's called This Week in WoW Twitter. It's basically going to be me every week going through the troughs of WoW Twitter and just looking at what everyone's super passionate about, happy about, unhappy about, where the anger is, if there's any drama, any updates, anything like that. I'm just going to be going through it and then making a little compilation on it. So, to start things off, this week Mr. GM has data mined that in patch 10.1.5, Blizzard is looking to make the trading post pay to win. They're going to be adding in ways to buy the currency, the like doubloons, the trader's tender that you use to buy the transmog from the trading post itself. So it looks like there's going to be a way for you to be able to use money to then buy the currency. This has caused a lot of mixed feelings. I know from some people, I think even Mr. GM wasn't super happy about it. I know other people in comments haven't been super happy about it. Even Dr. Josh Aaron Miller, who said, I want to say something here because I work on the trading post, but NDAs are terrifying. So take with that what you will. For me, it's one of those things where I'm not too bothered about it. I think for a lot of people that it's probably going to be pretty benign. It doesn't really impact, there's no player power impact, which for me, that's the main concern, is when you can buy things that improve your player power. That's a worrying concern. This is purely cosmetic. I don't know about you, but I normally find that I have more than enough. I always have a surplus of the trading post currency every month anyway. There's normally several things that I like. I'll buy those, and then I just leave the rest. I don't try and complete 100% of the items. But then some people out there probably do want to be able to complete 100% of the items. Now, we do know that things on the trading post will come back around in circulation at some point in the future, so I don't see it as too much of a concern, but I guess if you're a completionist, if you're trying to collect everything that you possibly can, this would be something where you're annoyed that you have to spend real money in order to facilitate that when they could have just given you full access to as much currency as you could get. So I can see, both sides. I'm much more concerned, and I even put a tweet out about it, but I'm way more concerned about the idea of being able to use real-life money to buy WoW tokens from Blizzard to then give you gold in return, hundreds of thousands of gold, which you can then use to buy boosts in Mythic Plus, PvP, Raid. It doesn't matter. You can technically, if you had enough money, you could technically buy these things, which would give you more gear, more power. And yes, okay, you can be pretty savvy. You can see, oh, this person probably got boosted to 9 out of 9 Mythic. And you can use your intuition with these things. But that doesn't stop them from unlocking the achievements and the mounts and all that kind of stuff, which people put value onto. They attach value to these things. So I can see both sides. One thing I will say, and a final concluding point on this, is that I feel that when people are generally happy about the state of a video game, then they are happy if there is a bit of extra money to, that a company's trying to get a little bit of more money out of you. Normally when people are happy about the state of the game, they don't mind this so much. You can look at this right now in the Overwatch and Valorant community, where in the Valorant community, they're looking to charge a massive amount of money for a new bundle, whereas Overwatch is looking to do things a little bit more cheaply, but people are outraged about the Overwatch bundle and pretty happy and looking forward to the Valorant bundle. And I think this just goes to show when people are happy with a game, they don't mind paying for something, but when people are unhappy about the state of a game, they can be very angry about, a company trying to, be sneaky about taking more money from you. So I think that's probably just what is happening here in this case. That's not the only big change scheduled for patch 10.1.5, though. We're now looking at the Onyx Annulet finally being nerfed. This was something that was introduced in, I believe, patch 10.0.5, and was supposed to be valuable for most, if not every spec. In fact, I think initially Blizzard wanted everyone to have an incentive to use this ring up until the new raid released in patch 10.1, in which case they wanted you to slowly be replacing these rings as you start to get more gear from the raid, and I guess from like Mythic Plus and stuff like that. But many specs, and especially healers, are still very much interested in equipping this Onyx Annulet. I'm even still using them because I haven't found anything better just yet, and yeah, it looks like they're going to be reducing it by 40%. They're going to be nerfing it. So I would imagine that pretty much everyone is going to want to get rid of this thing by this stage. And Liquid Max even had something to say. He said, this was the only inevitable outcome from the beginning. Does put a spotlight on secondaries though. The classes that wanted to use this ring only did because they have 1 to 2 terrible stats, usually haste or mastery. So maybe there's something that Blizzard could do to have a better look into this type of gearing and look at how they can affect secondaries for specs. And it was Theon on Twitter who said, really hope secondary stats get looked at sometime soon. I have 600 haste and 500 mastery on my character, and equipping a piece with either of those stats on it is still worse than just equipping crit versus gear. And there's a lot of classes like that. So maybe secondary stats could do with having another review from Blizzard and how certain specs interact with them. I know a lot of the time when these gimmicky items that Blizzard does implement, when they come into the fray, a lot of the time it's specs that scale really well with crit or verse that oftentimes benefit the most from these types of items. So this is definitely a conversation that's been happening in the community. Love to hear you guys' thoughts on the Onyx Annulet being nerfed finally. And would you believe it, Mythic Plus players are unhappy again. I can't believe it. We're some of the happiest people that exist in this game, that's for sure. But JB, Megaset, and Elsmere have all been putting out info on Twitter, and a few others that I've seen that I haven't actually managed to grab screenshots of, but people are looking for another tuning pass on Mythic Plus dungeons. They are feeling like Mythic Plus maybe isn't in the best possible state it could be in. I've only just hit 3K this week, a couple days ago, as I've been slow getting back into the season. I've even been able to notice at this stage doing 20s and 21s, even cropping up in 23s, 24s. Some of these dungeons just feel dramatically different in difficulty from Fortified to Tyrannical, but even amongst themselves, I mean, you take something like Vortex, Pinnacle, Tyrannical, and compare it to, I don't know, Brackenhide Fortified, and it's just like, one of them is way easier than the other. So, could definitely do with another tuning pass, and there are kind of some anomalies in some of the tuning of these dungeons. Megastate even also tweeted out on Twitter saying that some of these bosses on Fortified still feel like they're tyrannical, and I can somewhat agree with that. It does definitely feel like some of these bosses could do with a bit of a tuning down. Say like the big old elephant in Neltharis, that thing is meaty. Even on Fortified, that thing claps. So I don't think I've killed that boss without the tank soloing it. It's like Anduin on Mythic Race to World First, okay? It feels like we're just everyone in the group's dead and you just watch the tank solo the last 5 or 10% of that boss. So could definitely do with another tuning pass. Alright, and before we go to our final segment of the first episode here today, I did just want to sign off things a little bit and say thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this kind of thing, if you want to see more of it, and feel free to DM me on Twitter or Discord, YouTube, whatever you can. If you've got any info for like next week's episode that you think is really important to share, so anything on Twitter, any WoW gossip or drama or anything like that, feel free to just DM me. And yeah, this is going to be a final clip. It's an exploit in tailoring that'll get you leveled up from 1 to 600 very, very quickly.
Your mama is so fat I got tailoring from 0 to 600 making her 1 belt.